Good morning.
Good morning. I would first like to ask you to present yourself and the full-time MBA program that you work with.
Perfect. I'm Joel McConnell, the Director for International Development in Europe and Central Asia at IE Business School. We're based in Madrid. Our top-ranked program takes about a year to complete. Students study in English with us, and today we have about 70 to 80 different nationalities in the program at any given time, 2 intakes per year. The group size is about 700 students per year, so it's one of the larger programs in Europe. I think that what we're looking for in candidates is a good mix of our core values, which is again entrepreneurship, innovation, and diversity. And again, at any given time, I think you'll have probably one of the most international classes out there today. About 95% of our students come from outside of Spain, which means you really will be studying from students from all over the world. And I think we do quite a good job at choosing a mix of students from both the private and public sector that come from a variety of different industries and sectors, which makes learning in the classroom quite interesting. After completing the initial core of the program, they do complete a 5-week lab to help guide them on to where to go in their electives period. One thing that sort of stands out about the program is about 40% of the full-time MBA is customizable, what we call the electives period. And so there you can either do electives, you can choose to participate in and prepare a business plan so that it's ready for launch at graduation through our venture lab area. There are other options also that include dual degrees or exchanges at other schools worldwide.
Great. And how can MBA candidates actually portray this fit to the mix that you're looking for, to the program?
Choose your essays right. Today we have, I believe, about 12 different options in the application to help candidates really choose that question or those 3 questions that will help them best present their profile. And then I think it's wise that when you are answering the essays that the schools put forward, that you really try and choose examples from your professional life that allow you to showcase an alignment with the institution's values. So for us, someone that has showed an entrepreneurial spirit, let's say, which means perhaps they've started a business, or perhaps they've shown the ability and the courage to lead change inside an existing organization. I think that sometimes we have a very limited view around what entrepreneurship is. And so showing a clever approach to how to align your profile with that value of entrepreneurship is something we definitely look out for. And then with regards to innovation, I think for us that means really a lot about trying to find a different way to deliver top quality content on an ongoing basis. It's about technology, it's about the right types of partnerships, it's about developing the right types of complementary training programs, and so showing where you've either been involved in an innovative organization or led innovation inside an organization, or show innovation in your day-to-day work life. That's something that we'd like to know more about. And I think, and finally, valuing diversity. I think that really we do a lot of work to find at least a nice balance between male and female candidates, students that come again from the private and public sector, that have worked in various different industries, that have different professional outcomes in mind. And so again, that makes for a much richer learning environment in classes. So someone that can show through example that they really do value diversity as an opportunity to learn more, and specifically who are looking to develop their soft skill set around communications and teamwork, we look for that as well.
Right. So besides the essay, I suppose the interview is also very important. So what kind of questions should applicants ask during the interview to really present themselves in a good light?
Well, I often tell candidates, listen, the GMAT or your GRE or your admissions test with IE, your language test, your application, which includes your essays and references, all that is very important, but they're probably only as important as the interview. You need to do all those things to be invited for an interview. All students that ultimately join our program must have completed an interview, and I think a lot of people don't prepare well for the interview. So my tips for preparing the interview would be approach it like a job interview. I think that when you go to a school and graduate, it's a forever kind of relationship. So we take it very seriously. You will always be an alumni of the institution. So be sure that you know the institution well, that you understand the program. Don't be afraid to come with good questions that you weren't able to find the answer to on the website, for example, or through meetings with school representatives. Competency-based interviewing is definitely a good thing to understand. I would say that having lots of different ways to discuss your profile through concrete examples of your involvement, the outcome in the situation, and what you learned, can be a very useful way to prepare for interviews at top schools.
That's great advice, okay. And what about the admissions test? Do you accept GMAT and GRE, or do you have a school-specific test?
Well, listen, I mean, most students, I think, top candidates anyways, are probably applying to at least a couple of schools, and I think that's probably wise. So certainly we accept the GMAT, and we have our published competitive rates, ranges, let's say, on the program. We accept an equivalent score range on the GRE as well. So I think a lot of top schools, business schools, are fine accepting the GMAT and GRE. And then IE is probably unique in the sense, or one of the few top schools that also have our own admissions test, called the IE Global Admissions Test, which we administer on a regular basis around the world. So again, the important thing for us is that the score that the candidate obtains in any one of those 3 exams is similar, but we don't really care which one you take. So you do have to have admissions tests, and unfortunately today it's still a necessary evil. But I would say that GMAT's probably the safest way to go, because you can use it for several different schools.
Okay, and what are the ranges of scores that you accept?
The famous question.
Yes.
I would say that typically in top programs such as ours, you want to be sure that you're in the upper 6s, low 7s. I would say 85% of our students are probably in the 690 to 720 range.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what about the different sections of, say, the GMAT? Do you pay particular attention to some over others?
I think when GMAT started offering the integrated reasoning section, there's a lot of concern on the part of candidates, and because it is something a bit different. But I think that we're looking for the overall hard score, because that's what matters, obviously, from an admissions perspective, and that's the way we compare candidates across profiles. But certainly we look at the different components. And then depending on the program candidates are applying to, and this is certainly true for our Masters in Finance programs, the quant aspect is very important. I would say overall, though, for the MBA program, we want to have a strong sort of hard score at the end. And then we do obviously look at the different components. But I would say that, again, the GMAT is just one part of the overall application. You must have a competitive score, but we look at everything a lot as well.
Okay, and how does the score, as well as the other important elements, affect the possibility for a scholarship at IE?
That's actually a great question. I would say that having a strong admissions test score, along with a generally good applicant profile, and then being able to demonstrate financial need, does make you more competitive for a scholarship or a fellowship. The important thing is, especially with schools that have rolling admissions processes, don't think that because there's no annual deadlines that you shouldn't apply early, and that is relevant particularly so if you plan to apply for scholarships. So apply the sooner the better, and if you are offered a spot, apply for financial assistance without delay. Typically top schools will reward candidates that are organized and apply well in advance.
Okay, and for our last question, what are some common mistakes that can be easily avoided by candidates?
With regards to the application, I would say be sure you read the questions properly that you're answering your essays, and write original essays for each application. I think we particularly have quite a good set of essay options. I think it's about 12 different essay options. So instead of the cut and paste, choose essay topics that really are going to allow you to put forward that match between your profile and what the school's looking for and what that school stands for, the values of that school. With regards to references, make sure that if you're going to use referees, that you prep them ahead of time. So take them out for coffee and just make sure that they know everything you've been up to since you left that position where they would have been in direct supervisory type role over you. Because sometimes your referees, even though they support you and obviously your application, they don't always know everything you've been doing since. And so when we call the referees, and if they're not up to date on all kinds of things you've been doing after you left that position where they were your boss, let's say, it can be a little bit detrimental, I would say. And then, if the application comes together and the school interview or offers you an interview, take it seriously. I think sometimes people don't realize how important the interview is, but you can't get the interview without a great application form. So those would be my tips for candidates.
Great, thank you very much.
Pleasure to speak with you.